Hello, welcome to another RIO how-to. Today's how-to is all about fishing the swing. Whether you're a steelhead angler, a salmon angler, a trout angler, whether you're fishing soft tackles, streamers, whatever, it's all about fishing the swing. And what it is, it's about the thought process you should go through. And this is best summed up by a little acronym, MAT, M-A-T. M stands for mend, A stands for angle, T stands for tension. And what that means is when you approach a bit of water like we have here, where you have fast water and slow water and virtually no flow water, you approach all these bits of water very, very differently, and you change your mat. And what that means is the M is the mend. And if you don't know much about the mending, then look at earlier episodes. We've done a couple of videos on how to mend and how to make a mend and why to mend. So the mend is the M part of mat. The A is the angle. And the significance of the angle is in relationship to the current speed. And the T, that's the tension. Let me explain something. When you imagine the current, I want you to imagine it as a cube, a block, right? The current isn't just on the surface, the current is from the bottom of the water to the surface of the water. And when you got the current, there's this current underneath and there's current on top. And why that's important is that when you cast across a current, at this kind of angle, imagine my rod's a fly line, right? And all the current's pushing here. Every single inch of that current is trying to push the line round. And so at a wide angle to the current, you get a very fast sweep. And conversely, if the current's going down here and the rod's at this narrow angle, there's very little current pushing on it, and so the swing becomes slower. So a wide angle gives you a fast swing, and a narrow angle gives you a slow swing. That's what the A is. The T, the tension, that's why I want you to think of this block of current. The block of current is that, now imagine my line is sunk, okay, at this angle. So if my line is at this angle of the rod, all the current is pushing it that way. There's no current lifting it, and so the line will swing quickly and start to drop. But if the line comes around to this angle, then from the surface to bottom, all the current is pushing this rod up, or the line up like that, kind of sweeping it up like a pendulum. So the narrow angles give you the shallow sweeps, and the wider angles give you the faster swing. It's all very, very confusing, I know that. And when you see it in action, it'll be a lot more clear. The point about this is that when you fish a light fly, like a soft tackle, what I've got on here, I like soft tackles, there's no weight on a soft tackle. So what happens when you fish a soft tackle, it'll swing around like this, and then the last few degrees of the swing, the soft tackle lifts up, because the current is doing that block, that cube, and the soft tackles will skate in the surface film. Down here, they'll be sunk, and out here, they'll be in the surface. So that's a very easy visual if you want to see this in action. Just fish two soft tackles, make a cast, little mend, let them sink, and watch them sweep up here. Gives you a picture of how a fly behaves as it sweeps through. And the only reason I kind of talk about the mat is because every time you fish a different bit of water, a different current speed or a different depth, you should approach it in a different way. Don't just cast out and mend and just swing around, whether you're steelhead fishing on the Deschutes or salmon fishing in the Spey or fishing for kings on the Connect Hook or just for trout with soft tackles. All these rules apply. When you want depth and you cast across, you've got to feed it slack, get the thing to go down. When you want a slower swing, you've got to cast at a narrow angle so that you don't get so much pressure on the current. If you have two different currents, you have to do a mend, because at all stages you're trying to have as straight a path as you can of the fly. So that's a little introduction to the mat, the idea about swinging. Now let's get into a bit of water and show you the mat in different scenarios. So I've come up to this fast sweeping in neck, and I want to show you a real fast bit of water, how I would approach this and how you should fish this. And again, it's the A and T we're talking about, the angle and tension. Remember, you do not want to cast across square. That gives you the most tension and the fastest swing. So a bad cast would be kind of casting that line straight across the river. The line lands, the fly has already swung 3/4 of the way through it. The fish had 1/4 of a second to see the fly. There's zero chance of getting it. In this fast water, you want a narrow angle cast. An important thing to remember, the cause and effect, the A and the T, the angle and the tension. The narrow angle is good for the slow swing, but remember the cube of current? The narrow angle is also good for keeping the flies up near the surface. I don't want that, not necessarily here. So my cause of casting at a narrow angle is a shallow fly. So to get out of that, what you try and remember, when you fish at a narrow angle, you give lots of slack, you reduce the tension. And that allows your flies to sink, get a little bit of depth, and then the swing starts. And it's a much more effective swing because I've cast at the right angle and I've reduced the tension to get my flies to sink. So that's your ticket, your rule of thumb in fast water. Steelhead, salmon, trout, as I said, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Narrow angles reduce tension. Now let's see what happens in the exact opposite. Let's go and find some real slow water and show you how you do that, the same thing in slow water. So here we've got a really good slow bit of water, an inside edge, slow. There'll be fish feeding in here, hanging on, and they're wanting to obviously grab something. So this is the exact opposite of that fast water I fished earlier. Here, you do want a square 90-degree cast. You want as much current as you can get making that fly move, because you want life. You want your fly to move. You want to have action and life, and the fish will grab it that way. So I cast square. But also, that cause and effect, or the if and then, if I cast square, I've got no tension on that. The effect of me casting it square is my fly is going to sink maybe a little bit too deep. So if I'm going to cast square here in slow water, I'm going to tighten the line and just very carefully just increase the tension as it swings by retrieving the line. Figure of 8 it or just tweak it, increasing the tension. By increasing the tension, I'm going to stop the fly snagging in the weed in the bottom. And fishing a slow water like this is far more effective than if you were to cast at that fine angle we were doing in the quick current and just letting it swing around. That line's got no speed, that fly's not moving, it's basically sitting in this narrow little area. There's no fish are going to grab that in that slow speed. There's no interest there, there's no life in there, and so it's a pretty worthless cast. So in summary, this whole mat thing that I'm talking about, the MAT, the mend the angle of tension, when you find pools of water, they have different speeds. Don't be chuck and chance it Colin, where you just fling it out there and just let it swing around, and sometimes you catch a fish, but you do the same thing every piece of water you fish. That's a nonsensical way of fishing. Analyze your water, look at the speeds, calculate the depths, and when you've got the slow waters, make your casts much squarer, and maybe increase the tension and move the fly. And when you've got those really fast pools, make those finer angle casts and give it slack, let that fly sink, get it down there. And by doing that, by changing up how you fish and how you swing your fly through a pool, you have far better chance of catching whatever species it is you're after. And those are your nuggets for today. That is today's how-to episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something from it, picked up a couple of clues here of how to fish the water a little bit better. And if you enjoyed that, look at our website, RIOproducts.com, RIO TV, and you'll find a whole lot more of how-to episodes right there. Many thanks for watching another episode.